Hello everyone! My first ever job was the bard, simply because I wanted to be able to play music for others. I have no musical skill in real life, so I found them in-game instead. The bard is one of the two support DPS in Final Fantasy XIV. Their role is not to only bring damage, but to strengthen those around them, giving them variety of buffs, in the bard case through the songs. Our bard's tale starts in Gridania, as we join the Archer Guild with a simple dream of mastering the bow. After some good training and starting to fit in with our Archer family, we have gotten into the routine that comes with defending the 12th Wood from danger, and today seems to be no different. An Ixal dirigible has been spotted above the 12th Wood, and the appearance of the ship is making our guildmaster rather stressed. Lucian tells us that its appearance calls to mind the old battle at Griffin Crossing from 2 decades ago, when the Archer lost against the Ixal so severely that it could also be called a massacre more than a battle. And now Lucian seems worried. She also has some other news. Apparently a renowned archer has come back to the 12th Wood. He has been nicknamed the God's Bow, though he honestly is just an LSN with the name of Jehantel. His nickname comes from his legendary skill with the bow. But he's not just an archer, but also a bard, able to inspire men on the battlefield through song. And with the legendary archer here in the woods, the guild has tried to get him to become their trainer. Even Lucian herself has tried. But Jehantel has refused everyone so far, only offering to teach them poetry and song. And while learning from a master archer is interesting, poetry and song does kinda spark an interest in us. The idea to be able to combine our skill with the bow, with inspiring song, able to turn the tides of battle, it sounds kinda interesting. So we ask where the man is located and then head to his camp just outside Quarry Mill. We find Jehantel there resting by a campfire and playing his harp. He is pleased to see us and becomes pleasantly surprised, where we ask not to be trained as an archer, but to be trained in music instead. He tells us that this works really well for him, as for a long time he has actually set the bow aside and turned fully to song and poetry. He's quite curious about us, wondering if we might actually be a worthy pupil. So he gives us a task. We have to go and find a Muggle named Pugnapoki, who has an excellent eye for a talent. We have to go to him and see if he sees our potential as well. We do find Pugnapoki, who is very upset about something. First, he is surprised we can't even see him, but after we explain we are friends with Jehantel, Pugnapoki tells us that Jehantel makes amazing music. In fact, it's so good that it's like bathing in a sunbeam. Though the talent he sees in us might mean we might become even better one day. But Pugno has a problem. He had this charm he was going to give to Jehantel, but he took a little nap in the forest and it got stolen. He tried to give chase after the thief, but as he has just woken up, he instead flew into a tree. He did thankfully see where the thief went, so he asks us to go get the charm instead. We of course agree and hurry to find the stolen item. It was hidden in a box and we easily nab it before returning to Pugno. Pugno does agree that this is indeed the charm. He tells us to go back to Jehantel and send him a message. Tell him that he is a cunning rogue. We do just that, and Jehantel explains why the comment was made. Apparently he promised Pugnapoki when he first became a bard to stay within the forest. Of course, Jehantel has many reasons he cannot do so. In the past his duties, and now a history that makes his stay here problematic, apparently. He had thought about taking on an apprentice and have the apprentice stay here instead, but it seems Pugno has seen through his ruse. Nonetheless, we have brought the trinket, which is in fact a soul of the bard, and Jehantel explains it was never meant for him. Instead, it's actually a gift from the Muggles, a soulstone only bestowed on those deemed worthy to walk the path of a true bard. The stone holds memories of past verses and songs from bards of the past, and now is ours. Jehantel explains that mastery of the bow and the harp hold hand in hand. They are both just stringed instruments to be played with the hand. Then he sends us off to ponder this lesson and strengthen ourselves. We do so, confused by today's events. It all felt quite chaotic. Still, we go off, take some time to connect with the soul of the bard before returning with a song in our heart, ready for further training. Jehantel is pleased to see what is no longer an archer before him, but a bard in training. It is now time for us to start learning a bard's song. He tells us he originally became a bard because he was drawn to the power of song and how it could touch the heart of men. not like the music played by tavern bards today to entertain, but something deeper, a song that can shape the outcome of conflict. That is what he wanted to possess. And then he tells us a story on how the bards began. Ever since nations first quarreled, armies have fielded archer, where within they rained death upon their enemy from afar. As the battle unfolded, however, the distinction between the lines of friend and foe would grow hazy. Yet the archer part did not end there. He had to stay ever alert with arrow nudged and eyes trained upon the struggle. Even as his comrades fell, turning the earth red with their blood, the archer could ill afford to avert his gaze, as the moment cost another his life. One needs not have vivid imagination to appreciate the torrent of emotion that raged within him in that moment. Nerves near to fraying, his breast fit to burst, the archer did the only thing he could. He sang. His bow became a makeshift instrument. At first the archer sang only to still the rolling within, but his voice chanced to carry to his comrades. It inspired those engaged in combat, lending strength to their sword arm, and those who lay upon the precipice of death, granted a measure of peace. And as Jehantel points out, a singer can change so much, but at the time, armies weren't very keen on letting archers turn into minstrels. So at first they tried to make regiments of minstrels, but they were not warriors. They hadn't lived battles, and because of that, their song rang hollow. To make sure our song do not ring hollow, like those minstrels, but instead true and strong like a proper bard, he wants us to travel to Raincashire Gully, where many spirits are said to haunt the trees. And we are to go there, wait for these spirits to emerge, and then help them move on, with violence. And through this we might draw forth an ancient melody from the soul of the bard. So we do just that. Violence of course works like a charm, but it also fills our heart with sorrow for these spirits that fail to find rest. And from these emotions sprouts an old song, the Warden's Paean, a song that can strengthen our friends on the field. We return to Jehantel with a new song and ready for our next lesson. Jehantel is pleased with our progress. He quite enjoys watching our growth as he views himself as an old man in the winter of his life. He likes watching somebody in the spring of theirs. He's quite sweet as he tells us about the first time a bard came to his hometown. It was a spring day where the bard played the most sorrowful tune. It left an impression on Jehantel, and he tells us that these common bards are also often born of archers. Simply as the time of war ends and the need for archers diminishes, must find a new job, and many take up the harp, going around singing of their victories and bitter defeat. With these songs, the bards became quite popular. They were started to be called upon to sing in taverns and before the lords. And as they got intoxicated by the attention, they also started trying to outdo one another by embellishing their songs. Till in the end, the songs were nothing but embellishments, barely holding a hint of truth. And Jehantel reminds us that such songs do not speak to a man's heart, as they're just pale shadow of the song they once were. At the time, the Mughals took note of this. This species of flying fluffballs is quite keen on music, and they feared the true power of song might be lost to mankind. So they gathered and safeguarded the crystal known as the soul of the bard, so they can give them back to those they believe are worthy. And suddenly, Jehantel asks us if we have ever heard the ballad of the Vainglorious Fool. We tell him we have not heard this one, and he decides that this must be remedied right now. This ballad is important to the history of Gridania, as it recounts the massacre at Griffin's Crossing, the battle our Archer Guild master spoke about from 20 years ago. But he's not ready to let us hear the tune just yet. He feels we must prepare for it, and so we are to head to Welwick Wood, where a mated pair of algoats just lost a kid of theirs. Since then the two have been driven mad with grief and must be put to death to stop their uncontrollable rampage. Jehantel believes if we grant them the mercy of death, our soul will resonate with their sorrow and the echoes of a fitting melody. Being tad confused about why we must go kill algoats to hear a story about 20-year-old conflict, we still do what Jehantel asks us to do. It doesn't take long to find the pair and take them down, our heart feeling heavy as we do so, knowing the suffering the pair has just gone through. We return to Jehantel, who is pleased that we did as we were told. he feels our heart has grown, and now we must train our bow to match it. And when he's pleased with our progress, he will finally play the song. We train for some time before coming back to Jehantel, hoping he finally will sing us the song. And he indeed plans to do so. It is about an archer of the god's quiver whose peerless kills were surpassed only by his hubris. And that hubris led to the annihilation of his entire battle regiment within the massacre of Griffin Crossing. Standing guard in the dead of night, an archer weary of the sight, drunken pride and starved of glory, forsook his post to claim victory. 10 scores yalm had the archer crept, when shrieks rang out once his comrades slept, for he was not there to see the knives, or ring the bell and save their lives. Jehantel asks us what lesson may be taken from the song. He doesn't let us answer though, instead asks us to escort him into Gelmora ruins in the North Shroud. There some of the fallen in the massacre of Griffin Crossing will lay to rest. We have to go there with him and bring a bouquet of lilies to honor them. Knowing full well not to question Jehantel's methods, we head to the North Shroud, where these people were laid to rest. Jehantel is with us, and as we're about to lay down the flowers, an Ixol shows up. Jehantel grabs his bow, getting ready to shoot, and doesn't. He's accosted with a vision of others dying around him, friends he lost so long ago, and then he turns and makes a run for it, and we step up to handle the danger. We take down the Ixol and his dogs before tracking down Jehantel again. He admits that the song he sang for us isn't about just any archer. It's in fact about him. He was the one who abandoned his post, and with it cost his comrades their lives. And ever since he has been unable to wield the bow, and the memories of those he killed still haunt him to this day. He believes the gods give him a small mercy by giving him the gift of music, and so he became a bard. This does actually explain why he doesn't want to train anyone in archery, and only in poetry and song. Jehantel needs to be alone, so for a while we head our separate ways, before finally going to find him back in the camp. He does apologize for dragging us into such danger, and asks us for a simple favor. He wants us to sing for him. And we do so, drawing from our own adventure, victory, losses, fears and joys as we sing to him. And the song stirs him. In fact, Jehantel believes soon we might surpass him. In fact, he believes it's time we start obtaining the consecrated garment worn by true bards of old to honor the keeper, an outfit known as the Coral Attire. The outfit was entrusted with Jehantel by Pugnapoki years ago when they first met. They had barely spoken but few words when Pugnapoki gave him the outfit and the soul of the bard, and whilst he declined the outfit at the time, he still found himself taking it when the Mogul insisted, claiming that the attire chooses his wearer. But stricken by grief over the massacre, Jehantel wished to die. But he could not bear to do it himself, so he took to wandering aimlessly, seeking out places to die away from others. Angered by the words from the Mogul that said an attire chooses his wearer, as a push to make Jehantel accept the Coral Attire, well, Jehantel took to scattering the outfit all over the realm, claiming if it truly chose him, it would find him again. So now these pieces are scattered here and there in places of peril, where he was sure the outfit would never make his way back to him. And as we know, and as he now wishes for us to have it, we must go fetch the pieces. We agree and have Jehantel mark the places on the map at least. Then off we go to seek out the Coral Attire, fetching the 4 missing parts of it. And it turns out Jehantel was not kidding about putting these garments out of the way. Each place seems to be more dangerous than the next and require us to clamber up hills and stand beside deadly falls. But we are persistent, and eventually we have the 4 pieces and bring them back to the camp. Jehantel is thrilled we found the pieces. We do ask him about the shirt though, but he tells us it will come later. Now he wants us to help him one last time. He tells us that when he set down his bow, he vowed to never return to the Twelvewood, and the only reason he has forsaken that oath is to come and impart his knowledge on a worthy successor. This decision was actually made during a most recent journey through Ul'dah. As he was wandering through the market, he found a shirt from the Coral Attire, an item he had discarded decades before, countless malms away, and yet there it was, finding its way back to him. And as he held it, he vowed to find the one who truly deserved to wear it, a worthy heir to his legacy. So he returned to the Twelvewood to just do that. but he had barely arrived in the forest before being mobbed by archers asking to be trained, each one having no interest in poetry or song. He had in fact been on the verge of giving up and packing up his camp when we appeared, asking to learn about songs, and since then he has felt he had a purpose. Now he has finally managed to build up the courage to do something he has avoided for decades, to make a pilgrimage to the scene of his regiment's demise. But he can't do it alone, so he asks us to go with him. He wants to go there to help the souls of his tortured comrades find rest, as even to this day he's plagued by their angered spirits, and he believes he finally has finished the song fit to honor them. He wants us to come with him, and afterwards he will give us the final piece of our attire. We of course agree. We would have come anyway, shirt or no shirt on offer. So we head up to Coerthas, again with flowers in hand, to show our respect. And as we place them down, Jehantel starts strumming his harp, only for some Ixals to show up, ruining the moment. We quickly ready our bow, ready to defend Jehantel, who tries to take up his bow again, but fails to loose an arrow. So instead he grabs the harp to assist the best he can, invigorating and strengthening us through song. We take down the Ixal and Jehantel gets ready to start the ritual again, but it turns out one of the Ixals was not as dead as we thought. As our back is turned to it, the creature rises up, getting ready to kill us, only for Jehantel to grab his bow and shoot it. He finally can use the bow. He finally could save a comrade, so he gives us the final piece of the outfit. He thanks us for helping him break past his fears, and finally, he is able to put his friends to rest with song and a promise that from now on he will join the gods' quiver again to honor them. And with this, we are equal to Jehantel, two bards standing at an ancient battlefield, saying goodbye to those long lost and promising to defend those who still live. And thus ends our tale as a bard in A Realm Reborn. We don the coral outfit, which is absolutely precious and not really fit for the snow, before heading onward to further adventure, with bow in hand and song in our heart. Thank you so much for watching this video. I do hope you liked it. I only have 2 jobs in A Realm Reborn left before we take a little bit of a break from the job stories. I would love to hear if there's any particular lore you would like to learn about. Just put it down in the comment, and I will definitely put it on the list of things I wanna explore and cover. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I will see you next time.